Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Thursday. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. We're here for the next 3 hours on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and live on our streaming video channels as well, WIBW News on Facebook, and of course, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you're tuned into the program today, thanks so much for tuning in to 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski and Spencer Dupuis will be in a little while. It'll be a rotating cast of characters today as the intrepid 580 Sports Talk and broadcast team does a little bit of running around tonight. We've got coverage from the Topeka Invitational coming here tonight. 580 Preps coverage of the Topeka Invitational now in its 65th year in the capital city. Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, we will be joining the second of 4 games, 4 first-round games tonight in progress at 6 o'clock from Highland Park in Ken Darting Gymnasium, the pressure cooker, home of this year's tournament. We'll join Game 2 of the event in progress. Game 1 of the event has just about now tipped off between Topeka High and Shawnee Mission East. The second game of the day, Shawnee Mission North against Lansing. We'll join that one in progress. And that one will probably be around halftime because I had it wrong. Topeka High and Shawnee Mission East, I transposed my notes here. But Topeka High and Shawnee Mission East tip at 3:30. Followed by the scheduled 5 o'clock start time for Shawnee Mission North and Lansing. We'll pick things up at 6 o'clock at the conclusion of a regularly scheduled 3-hour edition of 580 Sports Talk. And we'll pick that game up in progress, followed by the featured games tonight. The third game of the night will be Topeka West battling St. Thomas Aquinas. And then the home team, Highland Park, takes the floor for the final game of the night. They will face Wichita Northwest. I'll be on the call, so I hope you'll join me for some Topeka Invitational Tournament basketball. The TIT returns to the capital city, and we've got you covered tonight. 580 Preps coverage of the Topeka Invitational here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. But before that, we've got a lot of show to bring you today. Plenty to discuss. Going to get to some football, talk a little Chiefs, going to talk some college hoops, Big 12 basketball. Got 2 great guests coming up on the program today as well. Rick Peterson, bottom of the 3 o'clock hour, will join us for the local sports spotlight. Pistol, I presume, will already be posted up at the pressure cooker to take in the first of the games of the day. So we'll get a live update on the early stages of Topeka High and Shawnee Mission East, the lid lifter for today. Get a preview of the rest of the tournament, a look at other tournaments involving boys basketball teams in the city coming up this weekend, other Shawnee County High School sports action, plus a little Washburn Ichabod talk as well with Rick Peterson. You know the drill every Thursday, 3:35. Pistol from TopSports.news joins us for the local sports spotlight. Coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, CJ Moore from The Athletic checking in for the Big 12 basketball breakdown. We'll get his thoughts on everything happening in the Big 12, including Kansas coming off of a road win against Colorado, heading into the Sunflower Showdown, and K-State coming off of a win going into the showdown. Still scheduled for Saturday night, 7 o'clock tip. You'll be able to hear it right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9, the K-State Sports Network broadcast. Pregame coverage beginning at 6 on Saturday, followed by that tip-off at 7. So those are our guests. Rick Peterson for local sports, bottom of this hour. CJ Moore for college hoops at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Like I mentioned, we're going to get into some football. The Chiefs have checked one of the biggest boxes of their offseason with Eric Bieniemy set to return as the team's offensive coordinator. How can he help? And what are the areas specifically that are in the most need of adjusting that Eric Bieniemy can help? Also, we'll get to a thought about the Chiefs and the number 9 overall pick in the NFL draft. And I'm not 100% sold on the idea that it's got to be a running back, specifically that it's got to be Jeremiah Love. You're going to see him mock to the Chiefs a lot, and goodness knows the Chiefs need a stud running back. I am not as convinced as maybe some of you are that would be the right pick at number 9. So we'll talk about that. Rather, not CJ Moore of The Athletic. We'll talk to him about college basketball. His athletic counterpart and also friend of the program, Jesse Newell, floated something interesting, I thought, today. He had an article specifically about the Chiefs offense and what went wrong and what needs fixed, what needs tweaked moving into 2026. So we'll get there. Also on the show today, it is 1/3 of the way through the Big 12 men's basketball season. Everybody has played to this point 6 of their 18 games. When we hit a milestone like that, what better time to do some tiering? Yeah, we're going to tier rank the Big 12 basketball teams from the cream of the crop to Utah and everyone in between. I don't know that that's a spoiler alert that Utah is going to be bottom tier. At least they have an excuse. Their first-year head coach, they have an excuse. But we will tier the Big 12 teams. We'll go back and forth on that a little bit coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Plus, we'll have our typical Thursday shenanigans on the show, a little either or over-under coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines in that hour as well. Got around to what is wrong with you coming up too. Plus, we want to hear from you. We look forward to your participation in the discussion throughout the program today. Text line is open, 785-272-9429 is that number. That's 785-272-9429. You can also interact with the show if you are watching the live YouTube stream. Again, we are live every day on the air from 3 to 6. That means we're live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, every day from 3 until 6. And if you do watch the show on YouTube, there's a live chat feature, and you can log in, interact on the live chat, say hello, chat with your fellow listeners, ask questions, make comments, and all of the above. So we look forward to hearing from you in the YouTube live chat. I see Andrew and Mark H. already in today. Good to see you, gentlemen. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. But I wanted to begin today with the Chiefs and change on the offensive side of the ball. I don't remember. I tried to search it, but like so many things about what was a once great microblogging website, the search feature on X, formerly Twitter, generally useless. I'm sure it's great if you want to find AI-generated pornography, but like for searching words or topics, it's not as good. It's not good. Anyhow, I don't remember then who it was that put it this way, but I really liked the turn of phrase. Matt Nagy was soft-fired by the Kansas City Chiefs following the 2025 season. He was out of a contract. And the Chiefs weren't exactly in a hurry to get to the negotiating table to write him up a new one. They just let the contract expire. They ran out the clock on Matt Nagy's tenure as the offensive coordinator. Had things gone differently this season, do I think they would have done that? No, probably not. But it was pretty clear what was happening on offense needed to change. That was the most obvious thing to change. And it was maybe because Matt Nagy was running out of contract, it was the easiest thing that the Chiefs could change. But it was, make no mistake, a conscious choice. The Chiefs didn't get to week 17 or week 18 and were like, oh, wait a minute, this guy's not under contract for next year? No, they made the conscious choice. And they were able to frame it, and successfully, as, well, we want Matt to be able to pursue head coaching jobs. And I wonder if the idea of Matt Nagy, leading candidate to get the Tennessee Titans job, might have been folks in the Chiefs organization calling their old pal Mike Borgonzi, who runs the show in Tennessee now, and saying, hey, can you do our friend Matt a little bit of a solid? We don't want to bring him back. We can't. It's just we got to do something different. But we want to make it look like we're doing it so that he can go be a big deal head coaching candidate. Can you do us that favor? Can you play along? I wonder if that's what it was. If it was just Mike Morganzi playing along with the Chiefs trying to make Matt Nagy's firing that much softer. But anyway, there was never going to be a scenario where Nagy continued as the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. That was not sustainable, and the Chiefs understood it. And that is the acknowledgement that we were kind of looking for as last season wore on and as things got more and more dire offensively and things got more and more frustrating with the Chiefs' inability to finish drives or put together the game clinching or game winning drive as they had done for so many years. And even when you grant that the loss of both starting and then both backup tackles and then Patrick Mahomes made things look worse for the offense in the final 3 weeks than they actually were, and really the final 5 weeks, starting with Josh Simmons' injury, can acknowledge that even if some of the underlying numbers still look good, the Chiefs' offense was closer to mediocrity than it should ever be, particularly with an all-time great at quarterback. And so it was clear new voices, plural, were going to be needed in that offensive meeting room. We were looking for that acknowledgement. We got it from the Chiefs. But I think it's understandable to say that you weren't looking for new voices who were going to tear everything down and start over. Because again, it's not as though the Chiefs offense was in like the bottom 5 of the league. Jesse Newell makes this point in his article at The Athletic today. It's one thing like when the Bears hired Ben Johnson and their offense the year before had been bottom 5, bottom 10 in the counting numbers and in the analytical data nerd numbers too. It was a bad offense. It was stinky. It was bottom of the league. You bring in Ben Johnson to shake that up, to overhaul it, strip it to the studs, and do something brand new. You don't need to do that with a Chiefs offense that before the injury bug really started to claim the offensive tackles and then the best offensive guard in Trey Smith and then all the wide receivers and then Patrick Mahomes. It was still, by the numbers, a top 10 offense or top 10 adjacent. The Chiefs are not suddenly a bad offensive team. Frustrating? Yes. Stale? I think absolutely. But not to the extent that it would have made a lot of sense for the Chiefs to have scrapped everything to start over. Even with a new offensive coordinator that might have come in from a completely different coaching tree with a completely different set of ideas, I don't think it ever would have made sense to say, all right, Patrick Mahomes coming back off of a major knee injury. We're hoping we can slot him back in week 1. And, oh, yeah, he's going to have to relearn everything, new verbiage, new cadences, new concepts, because we're just tearing everything down. Wouldn't have made sense. That's why you bring back someone like Eric Bieniemy. Not a new voice, but a voice with familiarity that can help tweak what doesn't work and add to what does work. So what doesn't work for the Chiefs? Say it with me. The running game, right? That's the first thing that jumps to mind. And I am pretty certain that an improvement in the running game can make whatever issues the Chiefs had in the passing attack look a whole lot better, even without a lot of significant tweaks to the passing game. Eric Bieniemy ideally will bring both his knowledge of the running back position and some ideas from working with one of the best run game schemers in football in Ben Johnson over the last year in Chicago to juice a running back position that is going to receive an infusion of talent this offseason. What does that infusion look like? Is it drafting Jeremiah Love number 9 overall? Like I said, I don't love that idea. No pun intended. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Does it mean a free agent contract for one of a handful of intriguing free agent running backs like a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker Jr. from Seattle? I'm not entirely sure, but one thing I am sure of is this. The Chiefs understand that they can't go forward with the same running game as last year. And that anticipating that Isaiah Pacheco is just going to be second year pre-injury Isaiah Pacheco would be a fool's errand. And anyway, Pacheco's a free agent. What can a better running game unlock for the Chiefs? It's not just more explosive plays on the ground. Andy Reid said that about as explicitly as he ever says anything, talking about the running game late in the season, that it's nice to be able to get reliably 3 to 4 yards when you need 3 to 4 yards. We need to keep the chains moving. And Kareem Hunt's excellence in short yardage made the running game, in terms of the underlying stats, the value stats, the advanced stats, look better than it actually was. But Andy Reid even said, look, we gotta hit on a couple of big ones. It can't just be 3-4 yard gains. We got to be able to hit on a few big ones. The Chiefs had 3 20-plus yard rushes last season. That's it. That's the list. 3 running plays of 20 or more yards. One of them was a Patrick Mahomes scramble. One of them was an end around to Xavier Worthy. The other was Kareem Hunt. He was the only running back to have a 20-plus yard run, and it was against Jacksonville. If you remember, I think it was the first half of that game. Chiefs were pinned deep after a punt. I think the first or second play of the series, Hunt broke a big run. That was it. That was the explosive run by a running back for the Chiefs last season. And, of course, threats of explosive plays mean you need fewer plays to travel the length of the field. The less you have to snap the ball to get into scoring range, the less of a chance there is that you screw something up. Right? The fewer times you've got to snap it, the less you're subject to Juwan Taylor lined up the wrong way, or Kingsley Suamataia got called for a hold, or another rhythm pass, except this one bounces off the hands of a receiver and into the hands of a defensive back. Explosive plays are how you score, and the Chiefs didn't get enough of them, didn't get hardly any of them from the running game. But not only does that help the running game have a little bit more juice and an ability to create explosive plays, that's also going to help the Chiefs be better in play action. The Chiefs were 19th in the league. This is from Jesse Newell's article today at The Athletic. 19th in the league in expected points added per play on play action. So they're bottom half of the league, and they knew they weren't good in play action. They only ran it the 24th most. I guess you would say then the 9th fewest of any team, 9th least of any team in the league. Why were they bad at play action? Well, the idea behind play action is the defense cheats respecting the threat of the run. Why would you respect the threat of the run for the Kansas City Chiefs? There's just no reason. There's just no need. So play action was a non-factor for the Chiefs. It was not a positive for the Chiefs last year. And because of that, the Chiefs had fewer opportunities for the kinds of shot plays that they were looking for in the passing game. Think about what kinds of passing plays create opportunities to throw the ball down the field. A lot of them come off of play action because the idea on a shot play is you get behind the defense, right? You're not just tossing up jump balls. You're not playing 500. You're trying in a shot play to get behind the defense. How do you get behind the defense? Bring those safeties up a little bit with a play fake. But that was something the Chiefs could never do because teams just flat out didn't respect the run. It's a position that can only be better next year. Bieniemy, again, his playing experience as a running back, I'm sure will be helpful. Anything he can bring from Ben Johnson's philosophy can be helpful. But a respectable running game, just respectable, will go such a long way towards reopening the Chiefs' offense and making it feel more explosive, more likely to finish drives with points, and not just points, but 7 of them instead of 3. The other thing the Chiefs desperately need to do on offense, This is a term that we've heard Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, use. I don't know if you hear the players use this term a lot, but the idea of the easy button, a concept so widely memed that I think it was Staples actually sold an easy button, a button that says easy on it that you can put on your desk. But the easy button passing plays, the when in doubt, we can drop back quick, we can get a completion, we can stay ahead of schedule or move the sticks. These easy throws, these pitch and catch plays that keep the passing offense clicking along, that keep your quarterback in rhythm, keep your wide receivers in rhythm. The Chiefs' easy button plays were not easy last year. And to hear Patrick Mahomes tell it, because this was something he talked about towards the end of last season, maybe the easy button plays for the Chiefs have gotten a little bit predictable. Maybe the short crossers are a little bit too predictable now, or the RPO hooks are a little too predictable right now, because done a lot of film study on the Chiefs. They've played a lot of football, so there's a lot of them on film. The Chiefs need to diversify the bread and butter plays to get easy handfuls of yards in early downs. And I'm not talking explosive passing plays here. I'm talking your easy stuff, your quick outs, your slants, your back shoulder throws, just the easy button plays and route concepts that help you keep the offense on schedule. Teams are wise to what the Chiefs have been doing for years to get those easy button completions. Chiefs have to alter those. How can Eric Bieniemy help? We'll see about that. I'm less aware of how much he's going to be able to help when it comes to scheming the passing game than I am of his ability to impact the running back room and the way the Chiefs run the ball. But there's a chance that a respectable running game fixes everything, or at least fixes enough that the Chiefs offense gets back to what we expect from the Chiefs offense. I've got some more thoughts on this. We're going to take a quick break. We're overdue for one of those. Want to hear from you in the live chat on our YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, and on the text line, 785-272-9429. We got Rick Peterson coming up in about 10 minutes from TopSports.news. CJ Moore will join us bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, talk some college hoops. We're jam-packed today, just getting started. We're glad you're here on 580 Sports Talk.
Save $10 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Our professional parts people will even install...
O'Reilly Auto Parts. You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty detail.
When you hit the road in Kansas, let your plate say something about who you are and what you stand for. The Kansas FFA Specialty License Plate is your badge of pride, supporting the future of agriculture and leadership across our great state. Starting January 1st, you can get yours at the local county treasurer's office. $50 from every tag supports FFA youth programs and agricultural education. Show your pride. Support our youth. Proudly supported by the Kansas FFA Foundation, growing the next generation of agricultural leaders. Learn more online at ksffa.org/foundation.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an
.332 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero with you, talking some Chiefs to open the show today. Some thoughts from the live chat on the YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Andrew first makes a good point that the new wide receivers coach, Chad O'Shea, should also... It's not Chad O'Shea, is it? Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of no, it is Chad O'Shea. I was right the first time. I thought I had him confused with former Cleveland back then, the Indians pitcher Chad OJ. I thought for a moment I was conflating the 1995 American League champions with the new Chiefs wide receivers coach. Thankfully, I'm not. I'm actually on my A game today, which, boy, is a relief because I got a lot of basketball to call tonight and from the Peak Invitational tonight here on 580 WIBW. But that's a good point. Chad O'Shea will have some input into the passing game, and I would look for the Chiefs to incorporate some new things in their quick game that let them stay on schedule. Andrew also asks if he thinks that the Chiefs will bring back Steve Spagnuolo or let him walk. I don't think Steve Spagnuolo is going anywhere. As far as I know, he's still under contract. Doesn't look like he's going to wind up with a head coaching job in this cycle. I can't imagine, unless he gets a head coaching job, the Chiefs are going to let him get away as one of the best defensive coordinators in football. And whatever problems the defense may have had this past season, I think we're less down to Spagnuolo and more down to they just didn't have the guys. They just didn't have as much high-end talent performing at a high level as maybe they've had the last couple of years. Talking about, well, let's go here first. I was talking about Jesse Newell's article at The Athletic today. Jesse Newell writing about what needs to change for the offense moving forward. And towards the end of the article, Newell writes that he thinks it is likely that the Chiefs will draft a running back high in the upcoming draft, but not necessarily in the first round. Chiefs have the number 9 pick overall. It is going to be a very popular mock draft pick to see Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs. I think Jeremiah Love's a really good player. I think if you're drafting a running back number 9, they better be Barry Sanders. I don't know that Jeremiah Love is Barry Sanders. Now, there have been gambles that have paid off for teams who've drafted running backs in the first round. Saquon Barkley has performed at a very high level at his best, but was he worth that number 2 overall pick from the Giants? I don't know. Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome. Was he worth number 12 overall from the Lions? Has he performed like a number 12 overall pick? Well, maybe he has. The separator with Gibbs, great pass catcher. He really is a do-it-all back, kind of in the mold of like an Alvin Kamara, who was not a first-round pick. Just a do-it-all back in a way I don't know that Jeremiah Love really is. I don't think that you look at him as somebody who is going to help your receiving game as much as a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs has in the pros. That could be wrong. That could just be a skill that Love really didn't get to use a bunch in college. Caught 28 passes this past season when we won the Doak Walker Award. But that's my thing with drafting a running back. You better be darn sure that running back is Barry Sanders if you're going to take him in the first round. So I don't love the idea. You got a chance to get a top 10 talent in the draft. There are going to be some other positions with that are deep that the Chiefs could use some help at, like maybe wide receiver, maybe safety. If the Chiefs look at Caleb Downs from Ohio State and say, hey, that's our guy, and we're going to take him, and we're going to let Byron Cook walk, which I don't think that's what they'll do, but maybe they will. You have a chance to draft that guy at number 9. Speaking of other options, I mentioned Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall being a free agents going into next year. Paul points out that Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL last week for Seattle, and that would probably take Kenneth Walker out of the running. I wouldn't be so sure. Remember, Zach Darnold's cap hit goes up like $26 million next year. The Seahawks might choose to move on from Kenneth Walker. And he'd be, you want to talk about explosive running plays? I mean, he'd be ideal for the Chiefs. He'd be perfect. And I don't know that he'll get to free agency, but I think it's less likely, as Paul, as you pointed out, it's less likely that he gets to free agency now than it was before the Charbonnet injury. We'll take a quick break here at 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, Rick Peterson of TopSports.news is going to join the show, and we will get his thoughts on the upcoming Topeka Invitational Tournament, as well as other high school and Washburn basketball action coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Rick Peterson of TopSports.news, who joins us every Thursday at this time for the local sports spotlight, where we cover all things Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn-Ichabod athletics related. Pistol covers it all for TopSports.news, including the 65th Topeka Invitational Tournament, which Pistol would love to tell us about, except they haven't started yet, have they?
No, they haven't. Looks like clock issues. Looks like they're trying to change out the clock right now. It's always good, Dan, when you got 4 straight games to get off to a delay in the first game.
Boy, tell me about it, Rick Peterson. So the first game of the day, of course, set to be Topeka High and Shawnee Mission East, followed by Lansing and Shawnee Mission North. The late games tonight, Topeka West against St. Thomas Aquinas and Highland Park against Wichita Northwest. You'll hear those 2 games in full right here tonight on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Pistol, first things first with the TIT. For a couple years there, Hayden was back in the tournament, so you had 4 teams from the capital city. Has there been any movement towards trying to get a 4th team back in this tournament to join the 501 schools, or is this just what it's going to be for a bit?
I think for a bit, this is how it's going to be. Because I think Hayden likes going up to Baldwin, where they play 3 schools, more their size and enrollment. So I think it'll be this way for a bit. But I like this field this year. I like you have Aquinas. I like that. I like Shawnee Mission East, which is Northwest. Then Lansing. I think it's a very competitive field.
It is a competitive field, and even the programs that come into the tournament that have losing records on the season, like Aquinas and Highland Park, are typically high-achieving programs that test themselves, and Aquinas in particular has played a brutal schedule this year. They're a very misleading 3-8 on the season, so it is a very deep field. But as far as the city teams go, Pistol, who's got the most to prove this weekend?
Oh, I don't know if anybody's got the most to prove. I think Highland Park wants to use it to maybe pick up some wins and get on track. Everybody I talk to thinks Nate's doing a great job, and but they lost 10 seniors off that team, I believe it was, and so it's going to take them a while. Topeka High, they're at 6-5, and I love what they're doing there. They've already made a ton of improvement, and then West is good. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think West can make a run at a 5A title.
Yeah, they are certainly one of the better-looking teams in Class 5A, ranked 3rd in the class by the KBCA. They take on Aquinas tonight, and like I mentioned, Aquinas is a very deceiving 3-8. You look at them on paper, they've got the kind of size that can match up a little bit with some of the size and the length of Topeka West. So I think it's a really good first-round matchup for them.
Yeah. And then, this week, I think, Dan, is going to be just really kind of screwy because they're already changing everything around. This tournament will now conclude on Monday because of all the weather that's coming in or expected to come in. So it's just going to be kind of a weird setup for a lot of tournaments across the state because everything you like to have everything set. And right now, with Saturday coming up, nothing's set.
Yes, and that's you're breaking some news to us, Pistol. So thank you for bringing that up. But yes, the placement games then for Saturday, originally scheduled for Saturday, are going to move to Monday. But is everything in place for Friday at this point, or are they going to move some games around?
They are going to move some games around. They're going to play the semis in the main game in the main gym, and they're going to play the consolation games in the auxiliary gym.
And do you have the game times on those?
I don't write with me. They're moving them up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you get out here, I can sure tell you I got an updated bracket.
Perfect.
But they are moving them up, and there will be no Saturday games.
So there you have it. That's breaking news here from Rick Peterson at TopSports.news here on the local sports spotlight for this weekend's Topeka Invitational Tournament. If you're planning to go out and see some hoops tonight, this weekend at Highland Park High School, the Thursday games will proceed as scheduled. Have they started Topeka High, Shawnee Mission East yet?
Nope.
Okay.
We're getting closer.
All right.
We're hopeful.
Fingers
But
crossed.
There's a 0-0 up on the scoreboard now, so at least we're making progress. We like progress.
That's good. That would not be the first time I've encountered clock issues at a game I've been covering this year. So I'm a little overly accustomed to those. Other teams in tournament play this week. It's mostly boys tournaments this week. From the city schools, Hayden, you mentioned at the Baldwin Invitational, they beat Wellsville on Tuesday. Washburn Rural tips in about 15 minutes down in Pittsburgh. They're taking on Branson, Missouri at the Bill Hanson Memorial Tournament at Pittsburgh High. Shawnee Heights is at the Shawnee Mission West Tournament. They play late tonight, 7:30 against Blue Valley North. Seaman is in McPherson at the McPherson Invitational. They play Hutch in about an hour from now. Rossville boys were winners last night, first round of the JCN Invitational. Silver Lake boys lost their opener to Paola at the Burlington Invitational the other night as well. So that's a little bit of catch up there on what's going on in basketball. As it pertains to other sports, I wanted to get to some wrestling real quick. Washburn Rural, we know, has been a standout program for years now. They got a couple of state championship trophies with a lot of shine on them in the trophy case. But they had not won a Tournament of Champions in Newton until they pulled that feat off this month. What does that tell you about the program that Josh Hogan has put together? That not only did they win that prestigious tournament, but they did so without any individual champions either.
That's what I was just going to say. That's the most impressive thing, Dan. But they showed you that they have the balance, and they can go down to the state tournament and have 5 or 6, 7 state placers, and that'll get you in the hunt.
So they are obviously off to a really good start. Who else has caught your eye this year on the mat so far, either boys and girls, as far as teams that are off to really strong starts or putting forward some good performances?
Well, Shawnee Heights girls were third in the state. They're third in the state last year in 5A. They're off to a very good start, Shawnee Heights girls. And then I love, Hayden's got a couple of boys state title contenders in Jude Krentz and Caleb Minke. So there's a Seaman boys are very good, very balanced. So it's a good year.
Rick Peterson is our guest of TopSports.news, joining us for the local sports
and we
spotlight.
Have started, by the way.
Wonderful. 18-minute clock delay, but we're rolling at the Topeka Invitational Tournament. And Pistol, by the way, I just saw the email. It'll be 3:30 and 5 p.m. for the games tomorrow. Semifinals in the main gym, consolation bracket games being played simultaneously in the other gym. So that looks like the plan for the TIT tomorrow. Anyway, from high school hoops to college hoops, last night at Lee Arena, Washburn picked up a pair of wins over Northwest Missouri State. I want to start with the women's game first because a score of 45-38, a final score, is always going to raise an eyebrow. Washburn pulls out a gritty win at home. How is it that Laura Westling's team has been this good on the defensive end this season?
Well, that's, I talked to the girls yesterday and talked to Laura like I always do, and they just talk about that's a priority for them. And they showed it. I mean, they didn't have a great offensive game, as evidenced by 45 points, but their defense kept them in it, and they found a way to win.
What do they need to do to get the offense on track, to be able to supplement the work on the defensive end with a little bit more offense so they can have a bit more breathing room?
Well, one, obviously, always hit shots. But two, they got to have some of the, that Sturk and Wedada are going to score. Giovanetti is a good scorer, but they just got to get a little more. The other 2 and 3 in their lineup got to score a little more to get to where they need to be.
A couple more questions for Rick Peterson at TopSports.news here on the local sports spotlight. Washburn men didn't have any trouble offensively or defensively last night. They won by 50 over Northwest Missouri State, which if you've covered the league for any length of time beyond like 2 years, that's still mind-boggling to look at Northwest Missouri State losing to anybody by that kind of score. The Washburn put it on them last night. What was most impressive about their 50-point win?
Oh, not even a question. holding a team to 14 points. A college basketball team that's won 9 games to 14 points in the first half. That's what sticks out to me.
Yeah, pretty remarkable performance by them, and offensively to go out and to put up 94. I know early on in the season, at the new and remodeled Lee Arena, there were a couple of games early on where it took Washburn some time to find their shooting stroke. Safe to say they found the comfort of shooting in their home gym by now?
Yeah, I think they have, and the thing is, they're so deep. I mean, they come off with 4 reserves that I think are every bit as good as most teams' starters. And so when you can go 9 deep and not have any kind of, letdown, I think that's huge.
Rick Peterson will cover all of this weekend's great sports action on TopSports.news, Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods. And, of course, he'll keep you up to date on scheduling changes as best as he's able as well, because they're flying in left and right. So make sure if you are on X, you're following Rick at Peterson_Rick. He joins us every Thursday at this time for the local sports spotlight. Pistol, always a pleasure. We'll see you in about an hour.
Okay, look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll fill you in on some scheduling changes that we know of, not just for local high school sports, but for the Washburn Ichabods on the hardwood as well, as we wrap up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk after this timeout. Welcome back to 580 Sports Talk, wrapping up this first hour of the program. Coming up tonight, coverage from the Topeka Invitational Tournament, the 65th edition of the longstanding Capital City basketball tradition. We'll have full live coverage, start to finish, of Topeka West taking on St. Thomas Aquinas and Highland Park battling Wichita Northwest, the late game tonight. We will join in progress the day's second game between Lansing and Shawnee Mission North, following the conclusion of 580 Sports Talk today. As you are all aware by now, there is the potential for severe winter weather starting on Friday and through the weekend. It is playing some havoc with the local sports schedule. So if you'll permit me a bit of public service here to make a note of some schedule changes. First of all, Washburn basketball had games scheduled against Missouri Western for Saturday afternoon. Those games have been moved to tomorrow evening. The women's game will tip off at 4 o'clock at Lee Arena. The men's game will follow at 6 o'clock. It's alumni night, so you Washburn alumni want to get out to that game. And you will be able to hear them still on our sister station, home of the Ichabods, Country 106.9, pregame at 3:45 tomorrow. Emporia State has also adjusted their schedule. They are going to play Arkansas Fort Smith tomorrow rather than on Saturday. 3:30 for the women at White Auditorium, 5:30 for the men. As for the Topeka Invitational Tournament, games for tomorrow have been moved. All 4 games will be played in the same time slot, with the consolation games moved to the auxiliary gym at Highland Park. The semifinal games will be played in the main or north gym. 3:30 start time for the first game, 5 o'clock start time for the second game. We will have some form of coverage tomorrow on 580 WIBW. We will let you know what form that coverage will take. So we're going to be a little bit flexible, a little bit limber on what our coverage looks like tomorrow, but stay tuned and we will keep you in the look. For you Seaman basketball fans, Seaman boys are in McPherson playing in the McPherson Invitational this weekend. That schedule has been altered. Seaman plays in about half an hour against Hutchinson. The games tomorrow in Hutch have been moved up. Seaman will play at 10 a.m. if they lose tonight, 1 o'clock in the afternoon if they win. And then the Saturday games, the placement games, have been moved to next Saturday, January 31st. Additionally, we can tell you that Rossville's championship girls basketball game in the JCN tournament has been moved up tomorrow to a 5 p.m. start. So if you're wanting to go out and watch the Lady Bulldogs at JCN, they will play at 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's what we know for now. We have not heard of any alteration to tomorrow night's Sunflower Showdown between Kansas State and Kansas. But, of course, if that comes across, we will let you know. We got Big 12 basketball tiers and CJ Moore joining us next on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. And if you're watching the show, you already know, but if you're just listening, I've got to paint the picture for you, and it's a picture of a full studio because the gang's all here. I'm Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski's across from me. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. We'll be down to just one of us in the studio by the time this hour's out. But for now, it's great to see everybody. It's fun to be together for the first time.
Let's go.
And we don't have to sing. Nobody's doing any singing.
Okay, so my wife showed me a video of my kid listening in the car to Tuesday's show.
I love that.
And she responded positively because, she heard Dad's voice.
Sure.
Wow, I was so much worse than I realized. I mean, I didn't think it was good. I thought it was almost passable. No, that was bad. Oof.
Oof. My parents were watching on their big TV at their home in suburban Denver, and they were babysitting. They were babysitting my niece, who is 16 months old, and have a great picture of little Nora staring up at Spencer on the television.
You showed me that the other day.
It's a really, really funny picture.
Tremendous.
How were the reviews from friends and family?
Well, I had to show Olivia because she had a meeting with a student's parent. Never good, by the way.
Yeah, not what you want.
I'll just say that. So she missed the entire thing, and I was like, all right, I'll be there when you watch it. And first she said, wow, Dan, trying to hit that high note.
Damn right I did. I didn't try. I did.
Well, then she talked about me, and she said, he wish she would have gotten a better song choice because that was horrible. And then Brendan, she had to say, oh, wow, he went full uniform, full boots,
he did.
Jorts. That's right.
Committed to the bit.
Absolutely.
Then she said, he must have really felt like a woman with the shorts.
Not that short.
Hey, now.
Not that short. I mostly just had people say it was good content.
Yeah.
No one wanted to be mean about the actual singing.
My wife said it wasn't great. I said, I mean,
that was the point, though.
Yeah, like I
don't think anybody was trying out for American Idol doing this.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. Are you kidding? That's the most likely way I'm going to meet Carrie Underwood.
Listen, we all have dreams. We all have dreams. We all have hope.
I think I would, knowing that I was not going to get past the embarrassing first round, I think I would sing I've Been Waiting All Day for Sunday Night if I won American Idol.
Is Carrie a judge now?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For the past 4 years.
Her, Lionel Richie, and
Luke Bryan.
Is that who it is? Yeah. Ryan Seacrest and his weird stretched face all still on the show.
And
my wife's a big
30,000 jobs.
fan, so I'm a little surprised that we haven't gotten around to watching that. And actually, no, I'm not surprised at all because we don't watch anything at the Lucero house because
you don't have time.
No, we don't. We go to bed at 8:30 now because Asher won't sleep in his own bed anymore. And if I'm lucky, I can sneak out. My wife will fall asleep. If I'm lucky, I can sneak out after Asher's down, maybe sneak him into his crib for a few hours. But now he's 19 months old. Kids go through this. He woke up at 3:00 in the morning and I went in to grab it. And he grabbed both of his blankets and was standing at the crib going up, like I am packed and I am ready to leave and go to the big bed. Please and thank you. You're making demands of me. You're not even 3 feet tall. What right do you have?
I was with my kid solo this morning. My wife went to the office, and when I went in to pick her up and get her out of the crib, she stood up on her own.
Hey now,
that's
is that a new one?
That's the first time she's done that in bed with the old sleep sack on. So this weekend we will be lowering the crib mattress.
Yep, it's time.
I was gonna say might be worried about a jumper.
Yeah, I think we've got at least one more level down we can go.
Yep.
Shout out to the LeBon family, by the way. We got their old one.
We got one of Jake's old ones too.
Pays to have friends.
Yeah, it sure does. Who did the whole kid thing before you did? That's hysterical. I didn't know that.
Yeah. We had whichever one was left.
Oh, that's too funny.
I guess Lindsay did not want to, you're sentimental about your kids' stuff. So we gave it a good home.
Yeah.
Made sure it's getting good use.
Yeah. Well, ours was getting good use until about 2 weeks ago. Asher decided he was more interested in sleeping between mom and I. I am at least to the point where I can sleep when he's in the bed now. Those first couple of nights, I couldn't do it. And so, nobody's sleeping and nobody's happy and dad's grumpy and it's just not fun. But I'm at least to the point now where I just bring him in all right, I'm not fighting you anymore. Lay down, go to sleep. And then about 6:45 this morning, I feel feet in my back and I feel a head on my head and then up. Not dada, not hi. He can do that. He can say hi. No, up. Ash, my alarm doesn't even go off for 5 more minutes, man. Let me live.
Got places to be. By the way, real quick from the YouTube comments, Andrew does say he's disappointed no jorts and boots. If I could wear them more often, I would.
It's not really.
Trust me on that.
It's not really jorts weather.
No,
it's really not going to be jorts weather here in a couple of days.
Also, our guy Goober says that he has recorded Dan's "My Maria" and is going to make it in alarm ringtone.
Hey, if it wakes you up and gets you going, who am I to argue? Who am
making
I
an impact
to argue? Yes, lasting cultural impact. My 580 Sports Talk Idol performance. We got some college hoops to talk about in this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. We have tiered the Big 12 teams through the first third of the season. We're also at the bottom of the hour going to talk to CJ Moore from The Athletic for a Big 12 and college basketball breakdown. Get CJ's thoughts on the latest Big 12 action. Look ahead to the Sunflower Showdown. Still scheduled for Saturday at 7 o'clock as far as we are aware. Have not heard differently from either Kansas or Kansas State Athletics. If there is indeed a change to that game time or anything like that, we will pass it along for sure. So you can rest assured of that. But
pretty convenient that they're playing each other, though. We're being honest.
Yeah, no, it is. It most certainly is. And we've got What Is Wrong With You coming up this hour as well. Want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429. You can also interact, as we have pointed out, in the live chat on our YouTube stream. We stream live every day from 3 to 6 while we're on the air live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have yet to do so. How will we debase ourselves for you when we get to 1,000 subscribers? Some of you have some interesting ideas.
How many times have we seen Full Frontal so far? Someone's going to say it. I'm just going to get ahead of it.
Tastefully done.
Yeah, artistic.
One of the all-time great TV commercials for ESPN, the magazine. Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury, they were teammates on the Timberwolves at the time, and they were talking about the brand new ESPN magazine, and they were both saying, you know what, we don't want to see? No swimsuits, no two pieces, no thongs. And they both say, all nude.
I remember that one.
Tastefully done, but definitely all nude.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
It's important to be tasteful. Anyway, one of the all-time great ESPN commercials. Anyhow, let's get to some college basketball. We are a third of the way through the Big 12 basketball season. And usually when we get a third of the way through a Big 12 season, we do a little tiering. We go to the website tiermaker.com and we make some tiers. We rank the Big 12 basketball teams. Brendan and I have done that today.
And some of them are ranked, let me tell you.
Some of these teams are pretty ranked. It's an interesting year. Start with just a general observation, I think, of the Big 12. I think there is a very clear top of the charts. There is a very clear second group of teams. And then it's kind of a mushy middle this year. It doesn't feel like the middle is as fortified as maybe it has been in previous Big 12 seasons, where we've been at this stage of the year talking about, man, this league could get 10 teams in the tournament. I don't know that they'll get half the league in the tournament. Right now, if I had to guess, and this might be either or over under for later on, I would guess less than half the league makes the tournament this year. I'm having trouble seeing more than 7 teams.
Interesting. Let's get to our tiers.
Yes, let's do that. I'm going to go first. We will get to my Big 12 tier for this point in the season. You can see it for yourself if you are watching the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on our Facebook page at WIBW News. My top tier is the Final Four good tier. These are the teams I think are Final Four good. Pretty self-explanatory. I think that's Arizona, Houston, BYU, and Iowa State. Arizona, Houston, and Iowa State are, I believe, all top 6 in the Ken Palm after last night. Top 5, in fact, in the Ken Palm. Arizona 2, Houston 4, Iowa State 5. So the metrics don't lie on those teams. I watched second half Arizona against Cincinnati last night. Arizona just has a gear that nobody else, I think, can get to. They, in transition, in terms of scoring, in terms of getting easy shots because they're big and they can hammer you underneath. I think that is a complete basketball team. And I know it's been a running joke that Arizona underachieves when you get to March. I'm sure, made a promise on this show. I will never pick Arizona deep in a bracket ever again. I will never trust Tommy Lloyd after they lost to some future bankers and states congressmen at Princeton a couple of years back. Was it then that lost to Princeton? I think it was then that lost to Princeton.
Yes, it was. Yes,
yeah.
That was a very funny game as well.
So, like, I have been burned by Arizona before. I think the DeAndre Ayton year when they lost in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
But I think this Arizona team is better than those and a little bit more equipped for a March run. Houston, they're tournament tough. Kelvin Sampson's tournament tough. They got great guards. They've got a culture. They defend the heck out of you. Houston is Houston. Iowa State, again, they got a culture. They got great players. They got an elite point guard. They've got an elite shooter in Momcilovic. They're really good, even though they had an inexplicable loss to Cincinnati last week. That's just something that Iowa State does. They stub their toe in weird ways during the season. Can't really explain why that happens, but they usually recover from that just fine. And I would expect the Cyclones to do the same. BYU is on that list, even though they don't live in that same Ken Palm tier. They're 14th in the Ken Palm. They live there because they have A.J. Dibanza. And he himself can be the kind of player who can carry you on a deep March run, in addition to the other quality players that they have on that team. So BYU is on my list as Final Four good as well. The next tier is the CU and the Tourney tier. These are no doubt about it NCAA tournament teams. That's Kansas and Texas Tech. Kansas is just off the Final Four good tier for me. I would feel differently if I had seen more consistency. A, Darren Peterson's health, obviously, but B, Flory Badunga's production. I think if Badunga were producing at a consistent high level for this Kansas team, I would feel a little bit better about saying that's a team that can go to the Final Four. I think they're a second weekend team for sure. I think that might be the ceiling right now. But again, we'll see if we ever get 100% health there in Peterson. May not be for a while after he rolled his ankle against Colorado. But if we get that, then Kansas's ceiling maybe gets a little bit higher. Texas Tech, numbers don't lie on them. They're 15-4. They're 19th in the Ken Palm. They've got a win over Duke. That's Duke's only loss to this point. Tough as hell. Again, Grant McCaslin, great coach, great culture. They got a reigning player of the year in JT Toppin. That's a tournament team, no doubt about it. My next tier is the Bubblicious tier. These are teams that I think every win or loss is going to swing their bubble chances. They're just going to live on the bubble. They're going to be nervously reading Joe Lunardi's bracketology after every one of their games. It's West Virginia, it's UCF, and it's Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is 14-5. They're 67th in the Ken Palm for what that's worth. That's below a lot of teams that I think a lot less of. UCF 14-4. They are 46th in the Ken Palm. And as for West Virginia, they are 13-6 and 57th in the Ken Palm. So those teams can use some quality wins, but I think they're capable of getting them. I think those teams, 19 kind of feels like the magic number. You win 19 total games out of the Big 12, conference and non-conference combined, you're probably getting in the tournament. Those teams, to me, have the best shot. My fourth tier, as mediocre as expected. Maybe Colorado's a little better than we thought. Maybe TCU may not quite as good as we thought. But both teams, have about the results that we anticipated that they would get this year. They are what I expected from Colorado's team and what I expected from Jamie Dixon's brand new roster at TCU. Fifth tier, searching for the reset button. That's K-State and that's Baylor. Neither team looks like a tournament team. Now, Baylor's in better shape than K-State. Obviously, Baylor's 11-7, though, overall, and they're 115th in defensive rating in the Ken Palm. It's stunning that a Scott Drew team has fallen that far on the defensive end. They've dealt with injuries. They don't have any good bigs. They are not a tournament team to me, and they've only got one Big 12 win so far. Kansas State, we've talked about ad nauseum. You kind of know where they stand.
My heart just breaks for Scott Drew. Just tragic.
I know. I'm sure you're crushed. Anyhow, my final tier is the new coach or about to have a new coach tier. Utah has a new coach. They stink. They're the worst team in the league, but at least they have an excuse. Year one for their head coach.
And they clearly have an idea of what they want it to look like.
Cincinnati, stinkeroo. And if you caught Arizona State head coach Bobby Hurley's post-game remarks yesterday, he looked like he was going to take a toaster with him into the shower after his post-game press conference. Like, just utterly despondent. Look of a man who knows his time is up. And, things are not good at either of those places. Cincinnati is actually somehow 54th in the KenPom. Their 8th-ranked defense is floating all of that, but they can't put the ball in the basket. They're 188th in offensive rating in the KenPom. Utah, 114th worst in the league, 2 spots below Bowling Green, and Arizona State, 2nd worst with a 92nd in the KenPom. So those are my Big 12 tiers. Now, Brendan, it's your turn.
All right, so I divided the top up a little bit differently. I was a little more selective with my championship contenders than Dan was. So I've got 5 groups of contenders.
I love this.
What caliber of contender? We're about to find out. I have 2 national championship contenders right now, Arizona and Houston. And Arizona, I think, is the best team in the country pretty solidly right now. Michigan's really, really good. There are a lot of really good teams out there. I think Arizona's the best team in the country. You look at the young talent. I think they're well coached. They're always going to have some guy from Eastern Europe who is just phenomenal down low. Like, they've got all the pieces. They've got everything that you want. No question, Arizona's in that group right now. And Houston, every year feels like they're not going to be that good again. Like, that defense isn't going to be that good again. Nope, they are. And CJ Moore, who we're going to talk to later on this hour, he was telling this to us at the end of last season when they got knocked out of the tournament in the Final Four, right? Like, guys, you have to understand the kind of players they've got and the kind of success they're having. And Kelvin Sampson is now recruiting better players. Like, he's getting 5 stars now. That's what Houston has. I don't know that Houston is actually all that much better than they were last year, but they've earned it with who they've been over the last several seasons. They're always going to be tough. Sampson's obviously a great coach. So Houston and Arizona are my only 2 right now, no doubt, national title contenders. We move on to Final Four contenders. They could do maybe a little better, could maybe do a little worse. They're contending, I think, for a Final Four. I put KU in that group. Obviously contingent largely on Darren Peterson being healthy, on Bill Self being healthy. It sucks that that's a thing again for the second time in, what'll that be, Dan, 4 years now?
Yeah.
And obviously lingering worries in the middle there as well. But I think KU at its best, I don't think that's off base. KU at its best can make it to a Final Four. I'm with you. I think this is a second weekend team. They're way tougher than the teams have been the last couple of seasons. They've got one of the best players in college basketball in Darren Peterson. I have no reason to believe they cannot be a Sweet 16 team this year, pending, a complete meltdown. So I think they're a Final Four contender. I do believe that, hinging on a couple of things. I'm going to jump over the next team I have listed. Texas Tech, very similar to you, reigning Big 12 Player of the Year. Again, I don't know that they are as good as they were last year. There have been a few blemishes over the course of the season that have popped up to a degree, but they're very good. They're very well coached. I like McCasland a lot. Texas Tech's Final Four contender. I worry that Iowa State's going to run out of gas before they get to that final Monday this season. Like,
that would not be the first time that has happened to a TJ Eltzelberger team.
And I think that's what's happening now. Like, they're better than KU. That doesn't mean they should, quote unquote, have beaten KU at Allen Fieldhouse. They got smoked. They were not competitive at Allen Fieldhouse. They lost to Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's a bad one. That you can't lose Cincinnati.
And like, it just feels like, hey, this is the time of year. Otzelberger feels very Kyle Shanahan to me, not in the sense that like he's an X's and O's genius, but just like guys love him. They work so hard for him all the time. But every once in a while, like, what about a water break? What about a day off? And maybe your whole roster wouldn't get hurt, or maybe your whole team wouldn't be fatigued by mid-January. That's my worry with Iowa State. And BYU, I think, is very, very good. I think they can make it to a Final Four as well. I don't know that they've got quite enough on the bench and on the floor to make it to a national championship. Having the best player, obviously important, but when's the last time a national champion was, and I know like Rob Wright's awesome, obviously. They've got other good players. But when's the last time a national champion was built like that?
Been a long time.
Like Jahlil Okafor Duke?
That's a good point.
2012 Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
It was probably 2012 Anthony Davis when a team was built quite like that. And again, BYU probably better than most teams that have been built around one big freshman recently, but I think they're like a piece short, maybe a little depth short. So those are my final four contenders. On to NCAA tournament contenders. I am going to put West Virginia here. Their defense is good. Relative to the Big 12, it's in the middle of the pack. It's 9th among Big 12 teams in the KenPom. It can be stifling, though. I'm kind of buying into that. I think they can win a lot of their home games down the stretch. They might be just good enough at home at, what is it now, Hope Coliseum, that I think West Virginia has a chance to sneak in. Again, contender. UCF, this is probably a little Stockholm syndrome from the Big 12 opener, but they're kind of hanging around, man. They're making some plays. They're winning some games. Johnny Dawkins knows what he's doing. Not always all that well, but he knows what he's doing.
Sometimes that transfer portal alchemy can come together, and it looks like that's happening with their brand new roster.
And I think Steve Lutz is a great coach, and I think what he's doing at Oklahoma State has been, frankly, very fun to watch, although getting a free win was nicer. It's always hard to go play at America's favorite wrestling gymnasium, but OSU has been very impressive so far. I think they're a contender to make the tournament. We move on to South Padre Island contenders, the teams that will be booking flights for spring break during March and will not have to worry about the NCAA tournament. I put Utah here and not in my bottom tier, but for the same reason as you, Dan. Like, they know they are rebuilding. First-year coach, we got to start from scratch. Fine. Baylor is here. They're not going to fire Scott Drew. They will never fire Scott Drew.
No.
But they're bad, and I don't think they're a tournament team. TCU, mediocre. I don't have it. They'll knock someone off. They're gonna like upset Houston this year or Arizona. Be like, wow, are they for real? And then they'll lose to Arizona State their next game. No trust in them. Colorado as well. They've got some interesting pieces. Obviously saw them play against KU. Love Tad Boyle. They try. I value that. But yeah. So those are my South Padre Island contenders. And finally, the unemployment benefits contenders. Arizona State, Bobby Hurley should have been fired 3 years ago. I don't get it. He's out. Wes Miller, I wanted it to work so badly at Cincinnati. He's out. I have K-State in this tier. I don't think Jerome Tang will get fired if K-State misses the tournament. The buyout, more than anything, is worrisome. And they don't, Mark B puts this out on YouTube just a moment ago, like, you don't have the super booster who's going to say, get me a new coach. I'm getting him out myself. K-State doesn't have that, which honestly, most of the time for the best.
Wouldn't it be like there's a booster out there that says, hey, I've got like 6-7 million. I'll kick into the NIL fund. Let's go get this guy some better players because I like him.
Yes, that is more likely. I agree. That being said, I think that program is really, really close to like losing any support from the fan base.
End stage Weber level apathy, which is the point at which you have to move.
Which sucks, man. Like, that's not fun for anyone, but that's kind of what it feels like right now.
Did you get my tier list?
Yeah, Spencer, you threw yours together real quick. Go ahead and just run through yours. If there's a big disagreement, we'll talk about it.
All right. Where did mine go? Mine just...
It's up on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, I think pretty much kind of what you guys said. My favorites are my top two to win the conference and advance deep into the tournament: Arizona, Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next tiers could contend. That means contending to win the Big 12 in the tournament, or could contend in the tournament, depending on how far. The teams could go far depending on how the players.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, same group I had: BYU,
KU, Iowa State, Texas Tech. Aiming for March, kind of similar to what your tier was for that contending-ish tier. West Virginia, UCF hanging around, and we saw them play KU that one game where that was pretty tough. Just playing at this point, just trying to get through the season. Utah, Arizona State, Baylor, Colorado, TCU. I've teeter-tottered on Oklahoma State, but right now unless they win this weekend, they're just trying to get through the rest of the season, along with Cincinnati. And my last tier, just waiting for the buyout to lower Kansas State. As you guys, they're teetering on, could be just losing total fan engagement.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I don't think Jerome Tang's lost to students.
No, and I give the students credit, man.
Yeah,
I think also what he did the other night kept him in there.
Well,
jumping in the stand.
Well, he's always done that. Like that's and Tyler, who we know, not a K-State fan, but Tyler in the YouTube guys, the dancing in the stands was a nail in the coffin. I disagree. I think that's a show of he does that because he wants to show he appreciates students for coming out. And I know what it's like to go to a K-State game where the students are out on a coach. I remember the fire Dimmel signs getting confiscated from the student section. I know what those student sections look like even at the very end of the Weber era. We're not there yet. The students are still in on Tang to an extent. Like maybe not all the way, but they're into an extent, and I think that matters a little bit. Anyway, we're overdue for a break. We're going to get to What Is Wrong With You next, then CJ Moore from The Athletic. I'm out of here. I'm headed to Highland Park for Peak Invitational Tournament coverage. We'll pick it up at 6 o'clock tonight. This is 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW.
Big 12 breakdown. Our current winner for the week, catch him if you can. The former flight attendant who posed as a pilot and picked up hundreds of free flights, Dallas Pokornik. He is our current weekly winner. Spence, why don't we breeze through your story today?
Yeah, we're going to go to Alabama. A Florida man is under arrest after police say he was stopped on an Alabama highway with 81 gallons of moonshine. Learndis, I think. Learndis,
yeah.
Learndis Hamilton, a 61-year-old from Polk County, Florida, is charged with possession of more than 5 gallons of alcohol without a license, which is a felony. Ozark police officer Dylan Griffin, whose department's crime suppression unit stopped Hamilton for a traffic violation back on January 9th. And
Yeah, officers say they found multiple containers in his car that they determined to be illegally distilled moonshine. He was booked into jail. They turned it over to the Alabama Beverage Control Board. That's funny. The felony is for 5 gallons. So, like, if you're going to have 5, might as well have 81, right?
I mean, yeah. So that's saying you can't have more than 5 gallons of any alcohol, I guess.
I guess so.
Like, that's your limit unless you have a liquor license.
That is a lot of alcohol, for being fair.
That is.
All right, for my story today, we are going down to Florida. We have a story like this, I swear, every 3 months. But we have a great quote in this one, so I had to bring it back. We're going to Aventura, Florida, where surveillance video obtained by Local 10 News shows a beef thief stuffing steak and brisket down his pants at a Florida supermarket. That is right. We've got another person shoving meat into their pants. It happened at the grocery store Kosher Kingdom. That's awesome. In Aventura, the store's owner wants to find the suspect. Meat prices continue to go up. It's not just us that's raising it. It's the whole industry. Our margins are very tiny. One thing that wasn't tiny, this guy's pants. The owner, Phil Einhorn, said, quote, "They're big, big, big pants. I think they're like made for stealing. They're blocked at the bottom so it doesn't go through. I think he was just wearing baggy joggers. But he said they were made for stealing. Video shows an employee walking by and the suspect shoving nearly $100 worth of cowboy steak in his pants. He also stole wine. He came over, looked to see if anybody was looking around, and shoved it in his pants. He did eventually put it back. The employees chased him out of the store. The owner is still trying to find the guy who tried to steal steak in his britches. Stuffed steak in his pants. All right, Spencer, 81 gallons of moonshine, or do we do the steak stealer? I'm going to go 81 gallons of moonshine, but I do love the quote, they were big pants made for stealing.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. All right, 81 gallons of moonshine for you?
Yep.
Does that beat Catch Me If You Can?
I don't know, man.
I don't think so, dude.
No.
All those free flights, that's hysterical. That will remain as our weekly winner in What Is Wrong With You. Coming up on the other side of this break, we're talking Big 12 hoops with the one and only CJ Moore of The Athletic. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, as he does throughout the Big 12 basketball season, it is the great CJ Moore of The Athletic. If you're not a subscriber to The Athletic, I mean, come on, it's 2026. What are you doing at this point? That's where you can find all of CJ's great work covering the Big 12 and the rest of college basketball. In fact, CJ, before we get to the Big 12 today, I wanted to ask about a team that finally made it back into the top 25 poll. In my opinion, right now, the best story in college basketball, at least next to Nebraska. How good are those Miami Redhawks?
It's a really, really cool story. I think it's cool when teams like that get ranked. I am not ranking them and am skeptical that they should be ranked because they are 89 at Ken Palm. It's not impossible for a mid-major team to like be, ranked pretty high in the predictive metrics. UC San Diego last year was there.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis right now in the A10 is pretty high up there. But usually they get up there by dominating their competition. Miami of Ohio has played the 338th overall strength of schedule. They have one top 100 win. So it's a cool story. You can only beat the teams that are in front of you, but usually a team that like we should consider as dark horse in the NCAA tournament, is going to crush their competition. They've won 3 games in overtime. They're not doing that. Their defense is just okay. Their offense is pretty dang good. So I hate to crush the narrative you were looking for here, but like the sport, there's so much separation now between mid majors and high majors. They didn't play any high majors in the non-conference. Like, it's like they're playing 2 different sports. One's the high major teams are the pros, where the level that Miami of Ohio plays at is like AAA. So to say they're one of the best 25 teams in the country, I think is not accurate. Who knows? Maybe they'll make the Sweet 16 and make me look really dumb, and I'd love for that to happen.
For reference, the teams sandwiching Miami, Ohio in strength of schedule over at KenPom, Hawaii and Canisius. So that tells you the kind of pool that Miami, Ohio is swimming in. Just from, like, not even necessarily this Miami team, CJ, but for a team that's playing a schedule like that, if they were to earn an at-large, because that's what everyone wants to talk about, right? It's, oh, well, they should be in the tournament no matter what if you, like, look at nothing but the record and the fact that they do have kind of a cool offense. Like, a team like that has to go undefeated in the regular season to even have a chance at that, right?
Likely so, or like if I mean, not necessarily, like if their computer numbers were better, then
sure,
they could afford to drop one here and there. The best thing they've got going for them right now is I believe their strength of record is 21st in college basketball, because they beat everybody they've played. So you could say, all right, 21st there, wins above bubble, they're 28th. Maybe that would, if you're building a case for them, you could use those numbers, but the predictive metrics aren't that great, just because, like I said, they haven't beat the teams they're playing by that much. Like I put in our Slack channel the other day, because we were having this argument, and like St. Louis, if you just take the raw numbers, is like the 6th best offense in college basketball and the 12th best defense, or at least was at the time when I was making this argument. And Miami, Ohio, while their offense is was 24th or something like that, and just without the adjusted numbers, we're just talking raw data, so just the points per possession. But their defense was in the 74th or something like that. Let's see, I got it right here. Offense 19th, defense 86th. So if that defensive number is way higher, then we're talking about a team that is going to have those numbers that across the board is deserving.
Look, if you're going to crush a narrative of mine, that's totally fine. I'd rather be smarter when I'm talking to people than go and say, hey, who's great? Miami of Ohio. So, no, I appreciate that always, CJ. We're talking to CJ Moore of The Athletic. It's the Big 12 Breakdown here on 5 CJ joining us via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Let's get to some Big 12 hoops, and let's start with KU, who, despite not having Bill Self on the bench on Tuesday, were able to pick up a win over Colorado. A Colorado team under Tad Boyle that I think has improved this year. They've got some nice young pieces, but KU finds a way to scrap out a 6-point win. Melvin Council was awesome. Look, as a KU grad, I'll just say it, CJ. I love that dude. Trey White had a big game. Darren Peterson, I know, rolls his ankle, but he plays down the stretch and plays fairly well for the most part. What'd you make of KU being able to eke out a gritty win? Or maybe I should phrase it this way. Do you think last year's team can win a game like that, or could have won a game like that?
I think last year's team was not that great defensively, even though their defensive numbers, for the season were pretty good. They didn't have, they weren't a great defensive team. Maybe, they were mature. They might have figured out a way, but I do think this team has a much higher ceiling than a year ago, and that was just a mature win to be able to get where it's hard to play at altitude. Texas Tech, for instance, when they went to Colorado, only won by 2, so it's not like other really good teams have gone in there and wiped the floor with them. So it was a good solid win on a night when you didn't have your best. Bill Self always says, we've got to be able to win games when we're not at our best, kind of scrap and claw and win those to have a really good season. And that's one of those games that like Self talks about when he said like the way you build a really, really good record is to win games like that.
From a team that I think is a really good Big 12 team in KU this year, maybe not the most talented ever, but I think it's a very good Big 12 team, to the team I think is the best in the country, and the AP poll voters agree, Arizona, still undefeated. They thumped Cincinnati yesterday. Bearcat, I really wanted it to work for Wes Miller, man. I really, really did. Tough year to start off for Cincinnati. Arizona pulls away late. The thing that impresses me the most about this Arizona team, CJ, is just that they've got so many different talented guys that they can attack you with. And it's Krivas, it's Pete, it's Burries, it's Bradley. And obviously, Tommy Lloyd is a fantastic coach. To me, that's the most impressive thing. It's just the number of different ways they can pound you to death. What is it about Arizona that impresses you the most? Obviously, they're great, but what is it about that group that impresses you the most?
I think this year it's their defense. Like Tommy Lloyd has always had great offensive teams. I thought last year they were a pretty good defensive team, but they like kind of would turn it on and off. They weren't consistent with it. But this team has consistently been really, really good on that end of the floor. And, they can win games ugly when they're maybe not scoring. And it's also impressive that like they barely shoot any threes. Like they're 363rd in 3-point rate.
Wow.
In college basketball. It's rare for like to have a really, really good offense these days without shooting a lot of threes. That when you shoot more threes, it makes it easier to have an efficient team inside the arc. And they're getting this done. One of the best offensive teams in the country with barely shooting any threes. So they just found a way to get to the paint and throw it in the post. They kill in the offensive glass. And but their defense is what is different than his past teams. I'd say even the really, really good Gonzaga teams that he's been a part of as an assistant, like always awesome offensively. Some of them were good defensively, but I think this team is elite, and I don't think he's been a part of a team that you could say is elite on defense before.
It's my first time getting to talk to you this season, CJ. So Dan may have already asked you this question at some point over the last couple of weeks, but right now, 1-2 in the nation to you, and I know you put this obviously every week in your ranking over at The Athletic. Do you go Arizona and Michigan as your top two right now?
Yeah, I do. I think that Michigan hasn't been as good lately, but I think over the I think this week they looked a little bit better. I caught a few minutes of the Indiana game. And I think Michigan probably has the highest ceiling as far as like their A game is better than anybody else's A game. We saw that against Gonzaga. But I think Arizona has been the most consistent from start to now.
Last couple of questions we've got for CJ Moore of The Athletic joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for today's Big 12 breakdown here on 580 Sports Talk. I know they lost earlier in this week, but, just talking about players and teams and coaches that have impressed me so far as we approach the end of this first month of Big 12 play, I've really been impressed by Oklahoma State. I thought it was a great hire when they brought in Steve Lutz from Western Kentucky. I think he's a great coach. They've got some interesting talent. Obviously, they have been a really struggling program over the last couple of years. I know they had a rough second half against TCU earlier in the week, but similar kind of question for Oklahoma State. What's the thing that's impressed you the most about to this point, solid turnaround that program has been able to make a program that obviously has a proud basketball heritage?
Yeah, I think his teams always play really fast. He's got some guys that maybe fit him a little bit more this year. Anthony Roy is, that dude's a bucket, and when he gets hot, he can probably go win them some games that you wouldn't think they would win. He's got a big guy in Parsifal, I think is how you say it. I'm probably butchering that name. Apologies to Mr. Falah, or however you say it. He's just kind of been a nice hub for them, a guy that you can throw the ball into in the post. So they've got a nice group. Like, they're currently 2-4, but I could see them potentially finishing maybe close to 500 in the league, probably on the outside of the bubble, probably an NIT team, maybe sneak in. But I agree. I think Steve's done a nice job there, and they're starting to turn a corner. And when he gets maybe some players that have been in his system for a couple of years. Maybe we'll see them be, maybe not like Nebraska level, but kind of like come out of nowhere and be a team that's top 25 level.
Last thing I've got for you, CJ, one team that, is not what they were a few years ago when they won a national championship back in 2021. That's the Baylor Bears. And look, things change, things fluctuate. Understand, Scott Drew is never going to be on the hot seat. I'm not trying to say something ridiculous like that, but how jarring is it to see a Baylor team, and even with a tough schedule, they've played KU, they've played Tech, Iowa State, Houston. It's been a brutal start to their Big 12 schedule, but how jarring is it to see a Baylor team that's 11-7 overall, 1-5 in the league, defense 115th defensive rating in KenPom. I mean, this is not the Baylor program that we've gotten used to in the last, almost decade and a half at this point. Just how shocking is it, even if you could have predicted it would be a down year for the Bears?
I think the shock for me happened in the off season when you have a program that's 4 years away from, or 4 or 5 years away from winning a national championship, that couldn't return one player from their team the year before, like lost everybody. And I think, continuity matters so much now in college basketball, at least having like 3-4 guys that have been in your system and kind of know your stuff, know your culture. When you have to rebuild the whole thing, and their plan was to rebuild it around. I mean, they knew they were losing most of their guys, and I think they were fine with that. But they wanted Rob Wright back. They had signed Rob Wright to an NIL deal. That was the plan, to bring him back and build it around him. And I think if you have him there, then they're having probably a better season. I don't know if they were going to have a great season, but that was tough. So. I mean, I think it's just really, really hard to completely have to rebuild the roster. I know some new coaches have done it in different places, but that's a challenge. And then where they kind of fell short is in the front court. They have a foreign kid that I've heard decent things about that's out for the year. That High Point center was supposed to be the starting center. He's out for the year, hasn't played a game. That's why they were so desperate to go get the James Najee kid, who I think will eventually help a little bit, but they're just too small up front, and that's why their defensive numbers are so bad, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just an okay, it's not that good a basketball team. So I'm not like shocked by it because I saw them in the preseason. You knew they were replacing everybody. It is jarring, I guess, to see Baylor at 1-5 in the Big 12, but I think this is he got portaled pretty hard, and it's any program that goes through that's going to have a hard time.
CJ Moore does a tremendous job covering college basketball, and he does it over at The Athletic. Go subscribe today if you have not already. Joins us every Thursday during Big 12 Season 4, the Big 12 breakdown on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. As always, CJ, thank you so much for the time. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
That is the great CJ Moore joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Let's get to a quick break. We'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour right after this on 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Brendan and Spencer here with you. I am heading out of here because I've got the Washburn Basketball Coaches Show to get to. Comes up from 6 until 7 from Skinny's Sports Bar and Grill at the corner of Huntoon and Gage. You can hear that again at 6 o'clock over on our sister station, Country 106.9. Spencer's got you the rest of the way. Dan is going to make an appearance as well for just a moment to update us from the TIT coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. An update for you as well. I know Dan got you a bunch of this stuff earlier on, but at least for my sake, Washburn basketball has moved Saturday to Friday. So the Ichabods will be in action coming up 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, doubleheader tip-offs tomorrow afternoon over on our sister station, Country 106.9. Yours truly will be on the call for those. Spencer's got you the rest of the way as we join you again after the news here at the top of the hour on 580 WIBW.
We're back for the final hour of 580 Sports Talk here for your Thursday. Spencer Dupuis rocking with you for the youngest in command movement here on 580 Sports Talk, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Brennan Dorzinski is en route to Skinny's for the Washburn Basketball Coaches Show. That tips off at 6 on our sister station, Country 106.9. And we'll hear from Dan Lucero. He's at the Topeka Invitational Tournament at Highland Park. We'll hear from him actually here in the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour for our either or over under segment on today's edition of 580 Sports Talk. And he'll give you a little details about what's going on there at the TIT as we speak, or I guess here around the 5:30 time frame. And then later on this hour, after we do headlines, we'll do a little Spencer's Choice today. We're going to hear a little audio Rob Gronkowski, one of the greatest tight ends, obviously, in football up there with Travis Kelce. He was on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams on the FanDuel Network's streaming platform, whatever you want to call it. And obviously, he was in New England when wide receivers coach Chad O'Shea was there, and we'll get some good insight from Gronkowski on Chad O'Shea and what he'll bring to this Chiefs team. Also, Kay Adams touched on Eric Bieniemy and her thoughts, so we'll play those back as well. And then I will give you my thoughts as kind of tinkered into them last night on the final word. We'll also have a final word before we send it out to the Topeka Invitational Tournament. Let's get into some headlines here. Again, you can go to our YouTube page and watch things on 580 Sports Talk, or at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. When we get to that magic number of 1,000, we'll figure out what we're going to do after we just did the karaoke for you the other day. And then later on, if you want to catch us on the podcast, you can do so wherever you get your podcast. Well, mostly Spotify is where you can listen to it, and also on our website, 580WIBW.com. Let's get into some headlines. Brendan kind of mentioned it earlier. Washburn basketball, due to the major winter storm coming in this weekend, both teams have moved up their doubleheader tomorrow against Missouri Western. That was originally set for Saturday. It will now be played tomorrow. The Ichabod women will tip off at 4 p.m. with the men scheduled to follow after 6 p.m. Both games available on KTPK Country 106.9 and on the My Country 106.9 website. Brendan will have pregame coverage beginning at 3:45 from Lee Arena. As we just mentioned, Ichabod's basketball team last night got another victory. They are a perfect 19-0, continue to be the number one team in Division II men's basketball. They blew out their opponent, cruised to an easy victory last night over Northwest Missouri State by 50 points, 94-44. And the leader in scoring for Washburn was Dylan Clausen's 18 points, 14 apiece from Jack Batchelor and from Marcus Glock, with Tyson Rudd having 11 points in double figures as well. So it was a pretty spread out scoring night for the Ichabods. And they look to go 20-0 tomorrow when they take on Missouri Western State University, again, just after 6 p.m. The women, they had a comeback of their own. They were trailing at the end of one yesterday. They were trailing 16-9. Then they outscored Northwest Missouri State 15-5 in the second frame. Then were outscored by 3 in the third frame, 9-6. But then they put together a powerful fourth quarter, scoring 15 points, giving up only 8 to win 45-38, with 16 points coming from Peyton Sturck. She was 7 of 13 from the field, and 13 points coming from Bari Widada. She was 6 of 12 from the field with 16 rebounds, a double-double there for Bari Widada. The women improved to 13-5 and 6-3 in the MIAA. Again, they'll take on Northwest Missouri State tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pre-game coverage with Brendan Dorzinski on Country 106.9 will begin at 3:45. Sticking with college basketball, Darren Peterson, unfortunately, he is working through an ankle injury. Bill Self said he's hopeful and he will play on Saturday at 7 p.m., the first edition of the Sunflower Showdown for the year. That one's set to be in Manhattan. Again, the weather could alter plans for this. Again, it's right now it's set to be played when it is, but I depending on how much snow we get here, could depend on if that game gets played. Speaking of Kansas State, they were another team that is going to play in the Players Era Tournament next season. The Big 12 in the Players Era announced a massive partnership earlier on, and some of the details are starting to come out here. So they received the invitation to participate in the expanded 2026 Players Era Men's Championship field. That's going to obviously take place during Thanksgiving week for the 26-27 season in Vegas. Tang said in part, we're excited for the opportunity to play in the Players Era next season. It's become the preeminent in-season tournament for college basketball, and we cannot wait for our players to enjoy a top-notch experience in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, end quote. K-State joins TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia in that expanded 32-team Players Era field, alongside existing Big 12 participants, Kansas, Baylor, Houston, and Iowa State. Again, the Big 12 and the Players Era recently announced the first of its kind partnership that guarantees the Big 12 to have 8 teams in next year's expanded field. After debuting with 8 teams in the inaugural tournament in 2024, Players Era Men's Championship expanded to 18 in 2025. Oregon won the first championship over Bama in 2024. Michigan defeated Gonzaga this season. The tournament games will be played in Vegas at MGM Grand Arena and the Michelob Ultra Arena. The Players Era will announce additional information about the 2026 tournament field and format in the upcoming weeks. For that one. Moving on to our next headline. We've got some coaching news. This coming down within the last 45 minutes. I actually got the ESPN notification exactly 45 minutes ago from Adam Schefter. Jesse Minter has been named the new Ravens head coach, and he's agreed to a 5-year deal to become the new head man at the helm of the Ravens, a place in which he coached prior in his career. As you go back to pre-COVID times, he was on staff there from 2017 to 2020, where he quickly rose up the ranks there, defensive assistant in 2017 through 18. In 2019, the assistant defensive backs coach. And then in the COVID year of 2020, he was the defensive backs coach before he went on to be the DC and safeties coach at Vanderbilt in 21. And most notably, the defensive coordinator with former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh's brother Jim Harbaugh at Michigan between 22 and 2023, where he won the national championship there in 23. Before going to be hired by Jim Harbaugh, once Jim Harbaugh left for the NFL, where he was the Vegas defensive the Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator for the past 2 seasons. Again, that comes on a 5-year deal. Obviously familiar with Baltimore and the Ravens because he left Georgia State as their defensive coordinator. He was there for 3 years until 2016 prior. So he comes in and, hey, guess what? The Ravens hired a defensive-minded head coach. Does that shock many when it comes to what the Ravens have been really known for since the Ravens became the Ravens with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed? It's kind of not shocking. And then you realize, oh, wait, who's the offensive mind for Lamar Jackson to work with? They don't have one, which sounds kind of interesting from the perspective of you getting an offensive coordinator who could get poached to become a head coach just a year or two into that doesn't seem right. If I was the Ravens, I mean, I know there's not a lot out there. Obviously, you kind of missed. You didn't want Mike McDaniel. Not a lot of offensive guys out there, but it would have been interesting if Mike McDaniel would have been the head coach with Lamar Jackson. But hey, guess what? He is not. They are going to search for an offensive coordinator. Among the head coach candidates, the Ravens interviewed this, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Media. A few who could be considered for offensive coordinator positions. Former Bills offensive coordinator, I guess technically might still be employed, Joe Brady. And then former Commanders offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. That's if those guys do not get head jobs, and I don't expect Cliff Kingsbury to get a head job. Obviously, one of the teams open is the former place he had a head job, so I would not anticipate that happening again. Maybe Joe Brady gets a head job in Buffalo. I don't know. I don't really know where they go at this point or who would want to coach them with what happened yesterday at that press conference. But that is the news, the head coaching news of the day. Now there are 5 vacancies left. The Steelers, the Bills, the Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Browns. And it doesn't seem like anybody wants to coach for the Browns, the Raiders, or the Cardinals. I don't know, man. It seems like things are not going well in those searches. We'll get to some coordinator news here. The Cowboys are working to hire Christian Parker as their defensive coordinator. Sources told Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport, just 34 years old. Parker spent the past 2 seasons as the passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach under Vic Fangio with the Eagles. He'll now get his first defensive coordinator job in the same division in the NFC East. I think that helps because you're familiar, obviously, with the teams. And if you want anybody that's jumping roles from one thing to another, and it's your first time being something, at least you're familiar with the teams you're going to face the most. And you're familiar with the Eagle. I mean, not offensively necessarily with the Eagles, with them hiring a new OC. But, yeah, you're familiar in the slightest with some of the teams. So that'll be interesting. The Commanders, they are set to interview Bears defensive pass game coordinator Al Harris for the vacant defensive coordinator position. He worked with Dan Quinn in Dallas. He's also interviewed with the Packers. Something interesting that he said while he was they were in Dallas, he said that he would follow DQ anywhere. He said that. There's a quote out there of Al Harris saying that he would follow DQ anywhere. When you look at the Bears defense, they led the league in interceptions this season. So for a team in the Commanders that didn't have very many interceptions as a defense, could be good. Al Harris, again, would be a first-time coordinator. That would be interesting. I still think they could go Raheem Morris, obviously familiarity with Dan Quinn, as he was Dan Quinn's defensive coordinator in he was on the offensive staff, I think, with the Falcons. Nonetheless, he's familiar with him. There's been nothing officially there yet for the Commanders. Moving on to our next headline here. The NFL honors, that's coming up here in a few weeks. The NFL and the Associated Press have announced the finalists for their annual accolades for the 2025 NFL season. Award winners will be announced at the NFL honors presented by Invisalign on Thursday, February 5th at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. NFL honors. The league's primetime award special will air at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on NBC and NFL Network, with streaming available on Peacock and NFL Plus. Prior to the award presentations, the NFL Honors Red Carpet Show will air at 7 p.m. Central on NFL Network leading up to the show. The NFL Honors program will not air live in all time zones, if you were wondering. The AP Most Valuable Player nominees are Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, and Matthew Stafford. Christian McCaffrey, the lone player that is not a quarterback in there. The AP Defensive Player of the Year award nominees: Will Anderson Jr. of the Texans, Nick Bonino of the Broncos, Myles Garrett of the Browns, Aiden Hutchinson of the Lions, and Micah Parsons of the Packers. The AP Offensive Player of the Year nominees: Patriots quarterback Drake May, 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua, Falcons running back Bijan Robinson, and Seahawks wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba. AP Rookie of the Year nominees on the offensive side: Jackson Dart, Giants quarterback, Emeka Egbuka, Bucks wide receiver, Travion Henderson, Patriots running back, Teteroa McMillan, Panthers wide receiver, and Tyler Shuck, the Saints quarterback. The AP Defensive Player of the Year nominees, those are Giants linebacker Abdul Carter, Nick Amanawari, the defensive back for the Seahawks, James Pierce Jr., the Falcons defensive end, Carson Schwessinger, the Browns linebacker, and Xavier Watts, the Falcons safety. The other awards here, the AP Comeback Player of the Year nominees include Stephon Diggs, Patriots wide receiver, Aiden Hutchinson, Lions defensive end, Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, 49ers running back, and Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. I think the clear winner there, probably Hutchinson. If I was a betting man, I don't know that you bet on these awards. AP Coach of the Year nominees, they are pretty self-explanatory. Jaguars coach Liam Cohn, Ben Johnson, Bears coach Mike McDonald, Seahawks coach, 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan, Mike Vrabel, Patriots coach. AP Assistant Coach of the Year, Eagles DC Vic Fangio, Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Speaking of Flores, did not get this in the coaching headlines, but he was being vetted as his contract was up with the Vikings. He was being vetted as a candidate for other coordinator positions and maybe even a head coach somewhere. He has signed an extension to remain with the Vikings. Vance Joseph, the Broncos DC, Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks OC, and Josh McDaniel, the Patriots OC. Those are the nominees for the AP Assistant Coach of the Year. They'll be hosted this year by John Hamm. It'll also feature the announcements of the Walter Payton Man of the Year, the newest Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 announcements, and the new Protector of the Year award to honor the league's best offensive lineman in 2025. So that's pretty cool. As the official timepiece of the NFL, Breitling will unveil custom NFL honors watches for the 8 AP award recipients, as well as the Protector of the Year, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, and with a special timepiece created for the MVP, crafted for moments that define careers and designed to carry legacy forward. Each watch stands as the lasting mark of the achievement. Again, the NFL honors set for Thursday, February 5th, be broadcast on NBC. See if we've got any more headlines for you. Checking the X sphere, the Twitter sphere. Anything up to date here? It does not appear as if we have any more headlines. So it appears we will take our first break of the hour. We come back. We'll be joined by Dan Lucero live from the TITs. We'll do either or over under coming up next year on 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW. Welcome back, 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis with you in studio and live from the Topeka Invitational Tournament. For this segment, we've got Dan Lucera. How are things going down there, Dan?
Things are going. Thanks for asking me. I'm going to jump in the video so that people can see. Here I am live at the Topeka Invitational Tournament, the pressure cooker at Island Park High School. Game 1 is in the books. It wouldn't be a TIT without being half an hour behind schedule after the first game of the day. It's a tradition unlike any other at the Topeka Invitational because the first game, there were some clock issues that delayed the start of the game by about 20 minutes. And then it went overtime between Topeka High and Shawnee Mission East. But the Trojans were able to pull out a win 49-43. And so it'll be Topeka High playing in one of the semifinals tomorrow. We're getting ready for the second game. Lansing and Shawnee Mission North will join that game in progress at 6, followed by Topeka West versus St. Thomas Aquinas and Highland Park versus Wichita Northwest.
All right, so let's get into this segment, either or, over, under. I'll start with my either or here. We see the Ravens have made their head coaching hire. Jesse Minter agrees to a 5-year deal. He's going back to where he got his start in the NFL pre-COVID before he went on to Michigan with John, ex-head coach of the Ravens, other brother Jim, and then he followed him to LA with the Chargers. So he's going to be the new head man on a 5-year deal. That leaves 5 teams remaining. But there's really 2 jobs that appears nobody wants, that being the Raiders and the Browns. Dan, either or, which job gets filled first?
Give me the 2 again.
Browns, Raiders.
Which one gets filled first? I think the Raiders, because I think there's some allure to Brady and having the number 1 pick and having Max Crosby as a foundational defensive piece. I just don't think there's as much appealing about the Browns job. So I would say the Raiders. I don't think either job's very good, but I would say the Raiders job gets filled first. That's going to be my pick. What do you think?
I do too. I think with the number 1 pick coming in, everybody knows like you're probably going to get your quarterback. And if they believe in Mendoza, then, I mean, at least they're set up to have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal.
All right. I have an over-under for you, and it is based upon our 4 o'clock segment, top of the 4 o'clock hour. We tiered the Big 12 basketball teams through the first quarter, or third, rather, of the conference season. Over-under 7.5 NCAA tournament teams for the Big 12 this year.
7.5. So the over would be at least 8. I feel like
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna go 8 because UCF gonna find its way in there, and West Virginia will as well.
UCF and West Virginia. Yeah, I just think of that. There are 6 that are very clearly tournament teams. Like, no doubt, no questions asked. The top 6 in the league right now are going to make the tournament. And then beyond that, I think there's that group of 3, UCF, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia. I think that there's a chance only one of those teams gets in. I think that it ends up being the under. I think it might be only 7 teams because some of those teams like West Virginia and Oklahoma State don't have great metrics. They're like West Virginia is lower in the Ken Palm than Baylor and Cincinnati. And neither of those teams have a shot in hell unless they start ripping off wins left and right of making the tournament. I don't see one of those teams making the run. I don't think there's going to be a bid thief in the conference tournament. Certainly, I think the top of the upper crust in the league is too good where you won't see a winner outside of what I think is the top 6. So, yeah, I think it's only going to be 7. I think it'll be a bit of an underwhelming year for the Big 12 as far as tournament participation, but I think it'll be a really good year for the Big 12 as far as damage done by their teams in the tournament.
Yeah, I think that could be possible. My last one here, it is an over-under. I'm setting the over-under at 1.5 of the 4 quarterbacks participating in the division or conference championship this weekend. Only either or over-under 1.5 will eclipse 200 yards passing.
Ooh. That's a good one because Stafford will, right? Unless he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Stafford's going to throw for over 200.
Will May?
I think May, Stidham, and Darnold being I'll tell you this. I think Darnold's probably going to have to. Like, if the Seahawks need him to throw for 300 or they don't win, I don't think they win. But could I see him, maybe throwing for like 220, a couple of big plays to JSN or Cup, and that being sufficient? Yeah, May, I think, could get there. Because the Denver pass defense, quiet as it's kept, it's really kept afloat by their ability to sack the quarterback, which they're elite at, and they're going to get theirs when it comes to sacks. But coverage-wise, they're just good. They're not great. They're not elite. They're very good. Don't get me wrong, but there's a tier, from very good to great, and I don't think Denver's great defending the pass. Like, Patrick Surtain is great, but their safeties are just okay in coverage, and Riley Moss is a liability out there. So I think there are going to be opportunities for the Patriots to make some plays through the air. I'm going to go over. What's funny is I might pick the teams that I am not certain are going to throw for 300 or 200 yards. I might pick both of them to win on tomorrow's show. So, but I do. I think they go over.
Wait, are we having a show tomorrow?
That is a great segue. We're going to have like 15 minutes of show tomorrow. So in case you missed it, the 3:00 hour, we broke the news to you that due to the impending inclement weather, there have been changes to the schedule here at the Topeka Invitational Tournament. So tomorrow, the games will be played rather than play 4 games back to back in the same gym. They're going to play the semifinals on the winner's bracket and the semifinals in the consolation bracket simultaneously. And they're going to play them earlier so that teams have a chance to get out maybe ahead of the worst of the weather. So 3:00 or 3:30 and 5:00 are the start times for tomorrow's semifinals. We're going to carry both of those semifinals here on 580 WIBW. Topeka High will play the winner between this next game, Lansing and Shawnee Mission North, at 3:30, followed by the game between the winners of the Topeka West Aquinas game and the Highland Park Wichita Northwest game. So we will be on the air at about 3:15 with pregame coverage, meaning 580 Sports Talk will be really short tomorrow. So I guess maybe, Spencer, before you get out, you might want to make your picks for the conference championship games to go ahead and get them on record. I'll at least have a chance tomorrow at 3 to get my picks on the record, but you might want to get yours on the record before it's all said and done here today.
That's a good point. That is a great point. Dan, we will send things out to you just at 6:00 for our coverage of the Peak Invitational Tournament.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, Spencer. We'll talk to you, everybody, soon. At top of the 6:00 hour, we'll pick up coverage live between Lansing and Shawnee Mission North at the 65th Topeka Invitational Tournament.
That was Dan Lucero. Again, you'll hear from him starting at 6:00 for the Topeka Invitational Tournament. We'll step aside for a break. We come back. We'll hear what for a former player who was closely, I guess you'd call him close, to new Chiefs wide receivers coach Chad O'Shea at some point when he was with the Patriots. We'll hear from Gronk on the other side of this break and talk more about Chiefs new wide receivers coach Chad O'Shea. That's coming up on the other side of this break here on 580 Sports Talk. Welcome back to 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW, the youngest in command movement. Spencer Dupuis with you here for the remainder of the show. Heard from Dan at the TIT in the last segment. Again, you'll hear from him at 6. A very, very short show from Dan tomorrow from 3:06 and just about 3:15. Then he'll get you pregame coverage before the amended TIT due to that weather coming in tomorrow night. The tip-offs between the two semifinals would be 3:30 and roughly 5 p.m. Doing a little deep dive here on new Chiefs wide receivers coach Chad O'Shea, longtime respected receivers coach in the league. I'm a Chad O'Shea guy because he went to Marshall. He graduated from high school in Louisville, Kentucky, was at Marshall 91 to 93, and then he was transferred to the University of Houston, where he played quarterback for 2 seasons. Yeah, he was a quarterback, but when you're a quarterback, you throw to a wide receiver, and he was a GA at Houston in 96. They were wide receivers coach in 97, spent time at 98 as their tight ends and special teams coach. 99 was added recruiting coordinator to tight ends coach and special teams coach before moving on to Southern Miss, where he was a special teams coach and recruiting coordinator until 2000 to 02. And then he got a start in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a volunteer assistant in 03. In 04-05, he was the assistant special teams coach. 06, he became an offensive assistant in Minnesota. And 07, he was the offensive assistant and wide receivers coach. And then he was offensive assistant, wide receivers coach, and assistant special teams coach in 2008. Before he went on to the Patriots, where he was the wide receivers coach from 2009 to 2018, helped them win 3 Super Bowls as their wide receivers coach before getting a chance as the Dolphins OC in 2019. Didn't work out. He joined Brian Flores with the Dolphins, and then they let him go. He was fired after 1 season in 2019. January 19th of 2020, he was hired by the Browns as their wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator under head coach Kevin Stefanski, where he coached alongside when he was with the Vikings. O'Shea then is there until this season, and he is named the Chiefs wide receivers coach as Andy Reid goes outside of the building, outside of his tree, I guess, and which I think is huge in all this. And a frequent guest on the Up and Adams show, Rob Gronkowski. I believe he's like a contributor to her show. He comes on probably every week during the season, I think. She labels it as Gronk Day. So I believe that's Wednesdays as Gronk Day. Well, he spoke for about 2 minutes about Chad O'Shea yesterday and the help he provided when he was in New England. So let's play that back here again. This audio courtesy of Up and Adams, K Adams, and FanDuel Network.
The Chiefs had
Again, that was Rob Gronkowski on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams. That audio courtesy of the FanDuel Network. Gronk says it all. Gronk, obviously a respected voice in the NFL universe, and like just the fact that what he said about Julian Edelman's career, I think he'd go back. I believe when Kevin Stefanski and him were in Minnesota, I think Randy Moss was there for a year, if I remember correctly. Timeline wise, again, I was like 9-10 years old at this point, so I'm trying to think there. No, I guess he was when O'Shea was in Minnesota, that Randy was in Oakland. Never mind there. But yeah, I mean the early years there, the 2 seasons for Randy Moss, but Randy Moss teaching and helping, and Chad O'Shea, everything I've heard about him from NFL people, I like. Everything I've heard from Browns fans, don't like. And I think I'm gonna take to heart what the NFL players say. I don't think I'm gonna take to heart what the fans of a crappy franchise say. So I, for one, am excited. I think you pair him with Eric Bieniemy and the accountability and everything you just heard her say at the end of that. I think it's huge. Let's play back what she had to say, her thoughts on the Chiefs bringing back the run game with Eric Bieniemy. Again, that's Kay Adams, courtesy of the Up and Adams show on the FanDuel Network. Again, that was Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show, and I guess unfortunately, people on the YouTube stream could not hear that. We'll have to figure out if there's a line being crossed for this audio feed going to the YouTube feed for shows coming up. But Kay Adams basically talked about Eric Bieniemy coming back and the fact that the Chiefs' run game was noticeably better with him as the offensive coordinator. And the Bears' run game was noticeably better this year with him as their running backs coach. I think it's huge because you go back to Pacheco's gone. You're gonna have to bring in a running back. I don't know which rookie, or if they're gonna draft somebody, or they're gonna bring in Brashad Smith and make him the number 1, number 2. Bring back Hunt. I don't know what they're gonna do at running back. What free agents are available? Who really knows? But I think him coming back is a net positive. You add in new blood at the wide receivers coach, and you're also going to be getting some new guys. I think other new coaching staff members in there. I don't know where or how. I don't know if they're going to bring some guys up from within or they're going to add some new ones, but obviously they're going to need to fill other positions that are currently vacant on the staff, or as we think they're vacant on the staff. So I think this could be good for the Chiefs overall. I think you bring back the run element, and I don't think there's a negative in this. I think maybe it had run its course before and everybody was like, well, he needed to get his opportunity. And Andy Reid has a lot of guys, right? Like he had Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy went on to become the Bears head coach. It didn't work out. It's just like Nick Saban bringing back coaches after that doesn't work out. It stops. They come back and they would go through the Saban rehab process to become another head coach. This is kind of like what Andy Reid's doing with his coaches, but I think this could work out in the net positive for the Chiefs. Obviously, only time will tell and see if they can even get Patrick Mahomes out to the start the season, dealing with that obviously ACL tear. And how much or will Travis Kelce come back? It sure kind of sounds like he wants to come back. Just the way that he's talking about seeing EB in the building, but how much will he contribute? How much will they actually want to pay him? He's not the guy who we thought who he was years ago. He still had a great season this past year. But if maybe you go to two tight end looks more, and I don't know. We'll see what the Chiefs draw up with Bieniemy there as the OC running the offense during the day-to-day process. I think that's the biggest thing is Bieniemy with his leadership and what he does to run a team will be running them during the day-to-day process. Not during game day necessarily because Andy Reid calls the plays, but yeah, we'll see how things go. We wanted to give you that insight from former NFL tight end Rob Gronkowski with Chad O'Shea. We'll be back after this break. We will get you a final word coming up here on 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis with you here for this last minute or so before we then send things out to Dan Lucero at the TIT. Conference championship weekend. New England favored by 4.5 on the road at the Broncos with Jared Stidham as the quarterback. That's a 2 p.m. game on Sunday. I've got the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. They win. And then the evening matchup on Fox, 6:30, Rams at Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 2.5. I think the Rams just got the firepower. It's a late Puka Nacua breakaway touchdown, something that doesn't really happen. But I think the Rams are going to make it back to the Super Bowl. And I think Sean McVay is going to go for another Super Bowl. And his legendary offensive mind will get a chance to win another one. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk. For Brendan Dorzinski, Dan Lucero, I'm Spencer Dupuis. We'll send things out to Dan Lucero coming up next.